Imagine waking up in the middle of the night to a distant sound, faint at first, like thunder rolling far beyond the horizon. But it isn't thunder. Within minutes, the sky erupts into red flashes, and the ground beneath you trembles as if the earth itself were trying to escape. People run, doors slam, windows shatter like thin ice. And before you even understand what's happening, the entire world becomes light, fire, and noise. It sounds like a scene from an apocalyptic movie. But it happened. No exaggeration, no fiction, just reality. This was the night of February 13th, 1945, in Dresden, Germany. And I ask you, what pushes humans to turn an entire city into ashes? How does someone survive when the sky decides to destroy everything below it? Today, you will follow, step by step, one of the most devastating and controversial air raids of World War II. We will enter the story of real people. Pilots who flew that night, unsure if they would return. Civilians who thought it was just another peaceful evening. A city that went to sleep and woke up in hell. Take a deep breath, because the story begins now. It was the final stretch of World War II. The Allies were advancing across Europe. The Nazi regime was collapsing, surrounded from every direction. Many German cities had already been heavily bombed, but Dresden remained almost untouched. It was admired as the Florence of the Elbe, a center of art, culture, architecture, music, and history. And because it was a symbol, it became a target. Across the English Channel, British officers studied maps under dim light. They marked factory sites, rail lines, supply depots. The goal was strategic: break Germany's remaining ability to resist. But there was also something darker, a psychological blow, a message carved into fire. Plans were signed, squadrons were briefed. More than 1,200 aircraft prepared for takeoff, the largest concentrated bombing force ever directed at a single city. And while engines roared across British airfields, in Dresden, people danced. Yes, as the attack was being prepared, there was music, food, laughter, light. Couples walked under calm winter air. Families enjoyed supper. The city believed it would never be bombed. They were wrong. At 9:39 p.m., British radar confirmed it. Perfect weather, clear target. The mission was a go. In the sky, hundreds of Lancaster bombers climbed to formation, their engines thundering like metal giants across the night. Below, Dresden slept. A short radio transmission crackled through the cockpit. Attack approved! At first, no one in the city heard anything. The aircraft were too high, silent shadows above the clouds. Then, the first flash, the first explosion, the beginning of the end. The ground convulsed. Windows burst outward with force. Screams echoed through the streets as sirens finally began to howl. High explosive bombs cratered streets and tore buildings apart. Seconds later, the incendiaries came, smaller, faster, deadlier. Fire raced across rooftops and timber walls like a living animal. The black sky turned orange, and hell had only just opened. People ran to basements. Families crowded into shelters, clutching each other in the dark, praying. But Allied strategy was precise and merciless. The second attack wave was scheduled for when firefighters would be most active, when the city was already burning. More bombers arrived. The flames below were so bright they didn't need flares to find their target. Dresden illuminated itself. Bombs fell in clusters. Flames merged into a single pulsing ocean of fire, a phenomenon known as a firestorm. Temperatures rose to impossible levels. Oxygen was sucked into the blaze with hurricane-force winds exceeding 250 km/h, 155 mph. People were dragged toward the inferno like leaves in a cyclone. Concrete melted, steel warped, streets turned into rivers of fire. Inside shelters, oxygen disappeared. It wasn't flames that killed most. It was the air being stolen from their lungs. On the surface, silhouettes ran through smoke so thick it looked like night had swallowed them whole. Some jumped into the Elbe River. Some tried to shield loved ones. Others simply lay down and waited. The night had no mercy. Sunrise revealed nothing recognizable. Streets were now charred ravines of collapsed structures. Churches, gone. Museums, gone. Schools, bridges, theaters, gone. The grand Dresden Opera House stood in silence, blackened and broken. The Frauenkirche's stone dome resisted for hours, then surrendered to gravity and fire. Bodies were found beside burned stairways, inside underground rooms, along riverbanks. A once living city now whispered only smoke and silence. And a question rose from the ashes: why? Was this truly a military necessity? Or was it a message to the world, a demonstration of unstoppable force? Historians debate it to this day, but for those who lived it, the truth needs no debate. War is a wound, and its scars never fully disappear. This story is not only about those on the ground. Above the flames, young Allied pilots also fought fear and uncertainty. In radio transmissions, you could hear tension in every breath. Formation stable. Target in sight, descending. Heavy flak at 3 o'clock. German spotlights swept across the sky, searching for shadows. When a bomber was illuminated, anti-aircraft guns awoke instantly. One hit could end everything. Some planes exploded before releasing their payload. Others spiraled down like burning stars, vanishing into the same fire they unleashed. Those who survived returned to base exhausted, hollow-eyed. Some believed the mission was justified. Others carried guilt until death, because in war, pain is not one-sided, everyone bleeds. The bombing of Dresden remains one of the most controversial and studied events of World War II. Some argue it accelerated the collapse of Nazi Germany. Others condemn it as unnecessary destruction, a tragedy beyond war's demands. The truth may live somewhere between necessity and horror, but one fact cannot be debated: Dresden rose again, rebuilt, alive, beautiful. Yet memory survives within its stones, a warning carved into time. Never forget what fire from the sky can do. If there is a lesson in Dresden, it is this: wars are not won, they are endured, and when the sky becomes fire, when the night turns to daylight, when cities vanish under ash, there are no victors, only survivors, or echoes of those who didn't survive at all. May this story never be forgotten, because memory is the only true defense against repeating history.